Leading the Nightline tonight, you're now with me, Shul Tomato, for TVS Nightline. Let's get to the top stories. The Ministry of Women, Family and Community Wellbeing will be providing greater professional care services to elevate the quality of life for several vulnerable groups. In addition to that, the Ministry plans to extend this service to married women who plan to have children while being committed to their respective career. While the government recognises that the decision to have children is an individual right, Minister Dato Sri Nancy Shukri says efforts to encourage children must be supported by quality care facilities and services.
Kita perlu menggalakkan dan mencari jalan untuk mendapatkan mereka mendapatkan mengusahakan itulah mendapat zuriat ya, kita memang betul sebab kita selain daripada itu juga kita juga nak menggalak wanita bekerja juga, tapi kadang-kadang mereka terpaksa menjaga ibu bapa di rumah, dan itulah saya kata tadi kita tidak mahu mereka ketinggalan. Jadi mereka tidak mahu tidak berani nak banyak mempunyai ramai anak kerana mereka juga perlu mencari rezeki untuk mereka sendiri. Tapi sebab itu kita buat program seperti ini, itu kita nak menggalakkan kita melahirkan penjaga yang berkualiti, professional.
By providing highly skilled and professional caregivers, Nancy says parents will have greater peace of mind when seeking such services. The service, she adds, will also be provided for senior citizens before it is further extended to those with disabilities. To ensure a high-quality delivery of the said service, the federal government has allocated 8 million ringgit under the Madani 2026 budget. Of the total amount, 3 million ringgit will be allocated for training purposes, while the remainder will be used to develop the standard of the service. Training will include knowledge in the fields of safety, communication, behavioral management, as well as the physical and emotional needs of the person being cared for. By 2030, the ministry aims to produce 50,000 professional caregivers in line with the Malaysia Caregiving Strategic Framework and Action Plan 2026 to 2030. Air quality in SERIAN has deteriorated further, with the Air Pollution Index, or API, climbing to 199 at noon today. The reading at IPD SERIAN was the highest in Sarawak, just 1 point shy of the very unhealthy level. Kuching followed at 179, Samarahan at 173, Sri Aman at 158 and Bijlu at 137, all in the unhealthy category. Muka recorded an API of 100, while other areas remained at moderate levels. An API reading between 101 and 200 is classified as unhealthy, while 201 to 300 is considered very unhealthy. Meanwhile, Malaysia and Indonesia have agreed to ramp up preventive measures to tackle cross-border haze to safeguard air quality, especially in the lead-up to the National Day and Malaysia Day celebrations. Sarawak plantation shares rose 4.62% in mid-morning trading after the company posted a sharp jump in second quarter profit. At 11:37 this morning, the stock gained 21 cents to 4 ringgit 75 cents, with more than 360,000 shares traded. Sarawak Plantation reported a net profit of 39.05 million ringgit for the second quarter, up from 26.87 million ringgit a year earlier. Revenue also rose to 147.30 million ringgit from 130.97 million ringgit. The company attributed the stronger performance to higher crude palm oil and palm kernel sales, as well as better average selling prices. Meanwhile, Public Investment Bank maintained its outperform call on the stock with a higher target price of 5 ringgit 59 cents. The increase in operating profit was due to higher crude palm oil CPO and palm kernels sales volumes, coupled with higher realized average selling price for CPO and PK during the financial period. On the company's outlook, Public Investment Bank Berhad says the recent dry weather pattern in Sarawak has slightly affected fruit ripening across most plantation estates delaying harvesting from 2.8 rounds to 2.7 rounds in July. And influencers among 8 individuals remanded to assist investigations into a street race after a stretch of the Lingdor Highway was allegedly closed off for the race last Saturday. The investigation was launched following the viral spread of a 33-second video showing 2 motorcyclists racing on the highway at around 7 a.m. The incident is believed to have taken place between kilometre 33 at the Sinai Utara toll exit and kilometre 31 near Johor Premium Outlet JPO. All 8 suspects have been remanded for 4 days from today until Thursday to assist investigations under Section 42(1) of the Road Transport Act 1987. The video also showed several individuals blocking the highway to clear the way for the illegal race. Some were even believed to have set off firecrackers to celebrate the end of the race before gathering along the road shoulder. Police are now continuing their investigation to determine the role of each suspect and the legal action that may be taken. The suspects, aged between 26 and 45, arrived at the Kulai Court complex at around 8:30 this morning in a police truck. They were seen wearing masks, while 2 of them also wore hoodies, believed to be an attempt to avoid being identified by the media. Johor Police Chief Dr. Abdul Rahman Arsad said all 8 suspects were arrested at 11:54 yesterday morning by officers and personnel from the Kulai District Police Headquarters, Traffic Investigation and Enforcement Division. The remand period for government agency chairman and a company director has been extended for another 3 days until Wednesday to assist investigations into an abusive power case involving the disposal of land in Penang. The extension was issued following an implication by the MACC. The 2 suspects are a government agency chairman in his 50s and a company director in his 40s. The deal is believed to have caused losses of around 1.96 million ringgit. Earlier, media reported that 5 individuals were remanded for 4 days last Friday to assist in a probe into alleged abuse of power involving the disposal of land owned by a government agency under a ministry in Penang. The 5, aged between their 40s and 50s, included the agency chairman, his younger brother and brother-in-law, as well as 2 company directors. The agency chairman is believed to be under investigation for allegedly abusing his position while serving as deputy chairman and a board member in approving the sale of 8 land lots in South Seberang Perai in 2015. The land was allegedly sold to a company suspected of having links to an associate of his at a price below market value, resulting in estimated losses of around 1.96 million ringgit. The case is being investigated under Section 23 of the MACC Act 2009. Iranian Oil Minister Mohsen Paknejad announces the discovery of major new hydrocarbon reserves in the country, describing the finds as a significant asset for Iran's future energy needs. Paknejad announced on the sidelines of a ceremony on Sunday, marking the renewal of allegiance to the ideals of the late leader of the Islamic Revolution, Ayatollah Imam Khomeini, on the occasion of Government Week. The minister said more than 7.5 trillion cubic feet of gas have been discovered in the southern Fars province, adding that around 5.7 trillion cubic feet of the reserves are estimated to be recoverable. Responding to a question about the impact of economic sanctions and pressure on Iran, Paknejad rejected fears of an illegal U.S. blockade when he describes of good news from the discovery of new hydrocarbon reserves. He added that further details about the discovery were to be announced at an appropriate time. The announcement comes as Iran continues to face extensive economic sanctions that have affected key sectors of its economy, particularly its oil industry and access to international markets. Despite the economic pressure, Iran has continued efforts to develop its domestic energy resources and strengthen its capacity to produce and export energy. And oil prices fell around 2% on Monday as investors braced for details of a new U.S. campaign to isolate Iran's economy. President Donald Trump has described the move as the most crushing financial operation ever targeting Tehran.
Brent crude slid to around $92 a barrel as market await details from U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent. Washington has also urged its allies and China to back the new economic pressure campaign as the war with Iran nears the 6-month mark. Meanwhile, Asian stock markets were mostly lower, with South Korea's Kospi dropping more than 3%. The chip giant's shares, along with those of rival SK Hynix, peaked in June on optimism for the AI boom, but have since fallen amid investor jitters and a broader tech rout. The U.S. warned allies and China last week to join Trump's new campaign, although Vice President J.D. Vance acknowledged that the plan was a delicate dance because Iran will try to apply economic pressure to the U.S. On the other hand, Iran's foreign ministry on Monday warned countries of consequences if they join an economic pressure campaign against the Islamic Republic by the U.S.
Shein's meteoric growth has made it a lightning rod for critics of ultra-fast fashion in Europe, where officials are trying to rein in its operations in the name of social and environmental responsibility. The Pope's financial penalties and fierce debates have dampened but not fully curbed the enthusiasm of millions of clients in a key market for the China-founded online juggernaut. Announced earlier today was the company's stock market listing, which aims in particular to juice its international expansion. Starting in 2012, Shein began online sales of its continually renewed stock of tops, dresses and other items, drastically undercutting the prices of its rivals, to say nothing of traditional clothing stores. Its European customer base rose to 156 million average monthly users by the end of last year, making Shein one of the continent's biggest e-commerce platforms, alongside China's AliExpress with 193 million users and Amazon around 180 million. In November, the group made waves with its first ever physical outlet, a dedicated space in the storied BHV department store in Paris. Hundreds of customers lined up on its opening day and dozens more people gathered to protest, requiring a heavy police presence to keep the tense situation from getting out of hand. Demonstrators slammed what they called inhumane working conditions at Shein's suppliers, the environmental costs of selling clothes not made to last, and unfair competition against brick-and-mortar retailers struggling to stay open. The company says it holds its suppliers to strict compliance standards and does not tolerate forced labor. Shein will debut on the Hong Kong Stock Exchange on September 1, the fast fashion retailer said today, in a long-awaited listing that will value the group at close to $27 billion. The online retailer plans to offer 280 million shares at between 47 Hong Kong dollars 60 cents and 49 Hong Kong dollars 50 cents each, aiming to raise up to 13.86 billion Hong Kong dollars, or about $1.7 billion, according to a filing with the stock exchange. Those were the updates on TVS Nightline. I'm Shulsh Mato. Thank you for watching and have a good night.